Good morning, everybody. Like Jeff so kindly said, my name is Kelsey Bracewell, and I'm here from Fredericksburg, Virginia, the home of the American Canoe Association, or ACA. And I am over-caffeinated and very excited to speak with you today a little bit about some of our DEI-related outreach programs. And I also wanted to give a really brief thank you to Pam and, of course, to Risa, and another person here, Andrea White, there in the back, all people who have made a big difference in ACA's success in these things in recent years. And it's just, I honor you and I thank you for playing a big role in how the ACA has done great things in the last couple of years. So in case you don't know, the ACA is kind of a legacy organization that was formed all the way back in 1880. Next year is our 145th birthday. So go ahead and order your cupcakes now. And we are a nonprofit organization in that group of associates that everybody was talking about yesterday that serve the public with education, stewardship and policy support, and then sanctioning of programs and events. And we're also the national governing body for Team USA Canoe and Kayak. So we had some great success in the Olympics, and our 2 Paralympians compete tomorrow morning. So take a look at that if you happen to be an Olympics fan, Paralympics fan. So ACA's mission, if you didn't know, is that we build inclusive paddling in communities, support excellence, and foster safety and stewardship through education and competition and general recreation, right? And our vision is to engage all the millions of paddlers all over the country, the world, of course, with safe and healthy opportunity for challenge and learning, for service and enjoyment of this sport that we all here love. So this is our commitment to members and guests and just organizations and people everywhere, that they feel a sense of belonging and safety. They're treated with dignity within all of our events, all of our clubs, all of our outreach, all of those things. And we aim to decrease barriers and increase access to those opportunities, and for all communities that have been underrepresented or historically marginalized. So some of the ways that we have accomplished that thus far is through these programs here. We have done a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion training for both board and staff. We have a pass-through grant that is so generously funded by LL Bean, in which we give money to other clubs and organizations that are already doing great work in their communities, and we support them in achieving their goals. We have a program called the Leadership Exploration and Development Initiative. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And since about 1990, ACA has been a leader in the world of what we formerly called adaptive paddling, right? Making paddling accessible for those with physical disability. However, we have branched out to call it universal, because we now have a brand new program for those with sensory disabilities as well. And then finally, we have what we call the Equity and Access Fund to provide scholarships for those who want to get into paddling and be a leader in their community, but are disadvantaged to start that off, right? So, as I mentioned briefly before, our club fostered community grant, we've been working with LL Bean since about 2002, but recently in 2021, we refocused into this grant program that helps out volunteer groups, clubs, organizations that already have ongoing DEI-centric work. And so we want to help them increase that quantifiable effort, inviting and including a diverse collection of people from their community, to create a welcoming environment and a home where they can come and feel they belong, they can invite other people, and so that everybody can contribute in the way that they want to. And since that 2021 start of this program, we've contributed about $70,000 to those groups. On our website, I'll give you a link to this if you're curious, we've got some reports that illustrate the organizations we have funded and the results of their work, not only, of course, in the stories and the narratives that people have shared, but in volunteer hours or in other quantifiable methods there. Cool, so this is really exciting. So the Leadership Exploration and Development Program, we'll call it LEAD. It is a transformative program that is crafted to empower and uplift individuals of color by providing them with the training, the education, and the skill development that they need to make an impact in their local communities through paddle sports. So it's a 4-day program, and it includes a whole bunch of comprehensive coursework and ongoing mentorship, right? And so making sure that they are fully equipped to be a leader and achieve their goals in their communities and bringing more representation into the paddling world. Gotcha. So in 2022, we hosted 4 of these programs, one in New York, Washington, D.C., Des Moines, Iowa, and L.A. In 23, we had an additional program down in Tampa Bay, which is where this photo came from, which is, I know that's all of y'all's, like vacation home right there in the back, right? And then this year, we just hosted one in Pittsburgh, I believe, a couple weeks ago, and we have another coming up in the Dallas area. So this continues to grow, and what is really cool is that in 2022, we procured a small grant to start this off, but it has maintained itself for the following 2 years. Okay, I have a couple of very brief testimonials from some of the people that participated.
Hi, my name is Chris, and recently I was able to attend an ACA LEAD event, which stands for Leadership, Exploration, and Development. This initiative was important to me first and foremost because I believe that representation from the Black community in paddle sports is important. And this program allowed me to enhance my leadership skills on the water, as well as emphasizing a come as you are and work with what you got, which basically means that we were trained to safely lead paddle events, as well as rescues on various types of paddle crafts, kayaks, canoes, and even paddle boards. So I can confidently and proudly promote and encourage people in my community to get out there out on the water.
My name is Adrienne Gallup. This is my second year with the ACA LEAD program, and this program is absolutely amazing. I have been empowered to feel like I could do absolutely anything, and I have gathered the leadership skills that honestly make me feel like I could go out into my community and empower other people and get other people that look like me out on the water, to see more people of diverse backgrounds out on the water being safe and just enjoying themselves. And that's what this program has given to me, and it gives me the ability to go out. We have done so many challenges, so many things that we never would have gotten to do otherwise, and this program is truly, truly amazing. I recommend it to absolutely everyone.
All right, thanks y'all for taking a brief look at those testimonials. I'm shifting gears for a moment to our universal paddling program. And so, like I said before, since 1990, we've really led that adaptive recreation industry through, the training of instructors, through the best practices and inclusive paddle sports for those who have physical or sensory disability, right? Modifying equipment and teaching styles to allow them to participate as safely, as comfortably, and as fully as everybody else, right? And so right now, we currently feature 2 prongs to this program, which is the Advanced Communication Program and then the Adaptive Paddling Program. So if you take a look at some of these pictures, in the center here, you can see this person wearing a pair of goggles, and then the picture right to the right of it is what it looks like through those goggles, right? So it's ways to, what does it feel like, or what does it look like or not look like if you have limited vision? Or also, if you are hard of hearing or deaf or anything else like that. And then some of these others are adapted rafts and kayaks and things for people who need stabilization or otherwise need modification of their craft, right? So the goal of this is for anybody, of course, to gain confidence in teaching paddle sports and outfitting for individuals with disability, or of course to make them feel empowered just as much as anyone. And then this is just a brief description of our Equity and Access Fund. ACA, we believe that everybody has the right to define their path from fun and recreational activity to elite athletic pursuits. And we share these core values about that: enjoyment, safety, and inclusion. And here, I just want to say, hey, if you have questions about any of these things or want to learn more about how we got here, please connect with us. Here's some of our outreach items. And lastly, if you would like to review this or share this, you can scan this code and it'll be available to you. And I'd like to pass the mic over here to Risa to give a summary of a community case study that exercises these same things.
you've known me for a day or two, and I'm really speaking as a kayaker who belongs to a local paddling club in the DMV, in the DC area. I live in Maryland, and I wanted to just add this because what the LEAD program is doing is taking, is teaching instructors, and it's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it, if you read your Paddlesports, the kayaking, which rapid media magazine?
Paddlesports Business.
Paddlesports Business. Jeff reminded me this morning.
Sorry.
Paddling Business. See, there's so many titles. On page 27, there's a really neat article by Les Duncan, who's the ED of the Outdoor Foundation, and he talks about his path learning to kayak, and he learned it through. He talks about the Georgia River Network and the Beaver Crew folks who are here today, who have taught, I think since last year, a couple of dozen instructors. So there's this proliferation of leadership development among just the club level. And these guys did kind of what LEAD has done, but on their own. So by teaching people to teach people, then you're just, you're leveraging instruction, and it's through ACA, good ACA program. What I'd like to talk about is one level, I don't know, lower, but more grassroots than that. Maybe. Yeah, so I belong to this club. It's called the Canoe Cruises Association. This logo looks, it's like it's 60 years old because it is. And it's one of the clubs that has been around since the 1950s or a little bit earlier. And if we had a meeting of all the members of our club, the profile would look like this room. So you don't see a whole lot of people of color in it. And we've been saying for a couple of years, how do we fix that? Well, you can't fix it, but how do we work towards changing the profile of the folks that we want to paddle with and want to paddle with us? And when we've gone out to people to say, well, what are the barriers, or how can we get you guys, Mr. Black person and Mr. Brown lady, to paddle with us? They say, well, I don't know. We don't really need you. We would like to learn, but we don't need you, because they don't really know who you is, because they're not part of that community that we think everybody should be part of. So that perspective is pretty helpful. Then we met a group called, and there is a really wonderful, long-standing paddling school called Kaleva. They have been around since the 50s as well. So paddling school, most of their clientele look like this room, and paddling club, most people look like this room. Then we met a group called Soul Track. They're based in DC. It's led by a fellow who, I think he went on a Boy Scout trip or something like that to Jackson, Jackson, Wyoming, learned how to paddle, absolutely loved it, came home, had no other opportunities. So a really good athlete, he can hand roll, he can get down a class 3 river, but they didn't have a paddling program. They really didn't know how to do it. So we met them, and they have a weekly announcement that goes out. They send people climbing, hiking, scuba diving, pulling invasive weeds, tubing, rafting, you name it. So they have thousands of people on their roster. They're reaching out to them all the time. It's not just Black people, brown people too, and some other in-between kind of people. But so they're reaching out. They've developed this affinity to all those people. So we came up with an idea of Kaleva, the experienced school, will provide instruction. Soul Track goes and finds people or stirs interest among them. And then with our club, we got 4 of us. I had for a long time, but I just became an instructor this year. So now we have 4 and maybe 5 level 4 ACA instructors who take people down up to class 3. And we've just developed this kind of relationship. So far, this hasn't cost anybody money, except for some people becoming instructors. So as a result, that's their group. Those are the people who do all these outdoor things. Every week they get an unbelievable turnout. This was a 5K and an annual, like a dinner or something like that down by Nat Stadium on the Potomac, on the Anacostia River. There's another group that you may have heard of called Diversity Whitewater. So this is a gal who actually came from this area, and she started a group that's a 501c3, and they do day trips, day sampling events for people of color. So she started doing one-day events 3 or 4 years ago. That wasn't enough because people go and they might enjoy the paddling, and then they say, "What now? What do I do? Who do I go with? I don't know where to go. I don't have gear. I don't have a car. I can only go on the metro." So Diversity Whitewater is kind of sampling people, and then we are like taking up the banner after that. It's hard to read some of these, but they do this weekly outreach. They made up this Whitewater Kayaking Club. They encourage people to go to Diversity Whitewater, and then after that, they offered a 4-week, 4 classes a month on Saturdays, and a Tuesday evening drop-in for free. You just go, if you go to this place, you can get gear. During the winter time, we had rowing sessions that we had all the time, but we made 5 slots available to them. They wanted to sign up. They paid for it, not much, like $10 to go to a rowing session. And then we did so that was rowing session. And this year we did another month-long 4-week and 4 drop-in option classes. So after, let's see, after, like, that's the class that we had on the Potomac River, and they were getting done class 2+ water after a month. About a third of them are rowing, and we now have about 40 or 50 people who have learned how to paddle. And so this is, I guess, oops, I'm ahead of myself. If there's a moral to the story, it's that the LEAD program is awesome, and we should investigate that with the ACA. But if you have a couple of local groups, you can put them together to help you develop some clientele. Because these guys, like, my favorite call this summer was a gal who wanted to get the address of the paddling school store, because they have a store up at their place. Because she said, I know how to, I'm not sure how I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna take the metro to the last stop, and then I'm gonna Uber up to Poolsville, which is like 30 miles away. She was ready to do it, to go buy a life jacket, because she really liked the one that she had in her class. So there, we got one, at least one. And we're hoping that this, that this mono by mono effort, it's, but the people that are engaged are part of our family. And I think it takes that kind of investment, but after, I think, doing this a few years, it will be kind of less, person by person, we'll begin to expand that, because the family will begin to look a little bit different. So that's one story, but it took time. It took investigation about the groups to put together, but we're gonna do this forever, hopefully. And then my job, my day job, is to work with the River Management Society. Every other year we do a symposium. The mission is to support professionals who protect, manage, and study North America's rivers. So it's a trade organization, but the reason why I mention it is that a few of you guys have supported, the manufacturers have supported us with sponsorship for silent auction items, so I'll be coming around and asking you about that. But also, what's really different about this one coming up, they're all great, I think they're awesome events, but this one is gonna take place near the, if you've probably heard, the largest dam removal in the country that we've had, the Klamath River. 4 dams came down, 4 hydropower dams, and just last week they finished taking all the debris out of the river, so all the junk, the copper dam stuff is out. So this week, and like last weekend, there were people taking trips to the river to see if they could find some salmon swimming all the way up to the top, 400 miles for the first time in a couple hundred years. So because this event and all the work on it has been so reliant on the tribes, there are about 5 tribes: Modoc, Klamath, Shasta Indian Nation, Yurok, Karuk, and Lupa. They've been working really, really long time on this project, and A few weeks ago, I did a road trip to meet with all of the tribes, someone from each of the tribes, 850-mile road trip in 5 days. And I was standing with one fellow from the MODOC, and we were, talking about this event. He said, "Oh, we just found some remains here, over there on that one arm. They were carbon dated for 8,000 years." So a bunch of people have been working on this dam removal for, 50 years. They've been here for 8,000 years. So their relationship with those who are now asking them for input on whatever it is that we think is really important now has to be put in context. It's like in the drop of the bucket of their community and their relationship with rivers, which is not recreation. River, some of them are kayaking and canoeing and stuff like that, but water is a part of their life. It's a part of their food, and everything they do is how they get to grandma's house. It's where they have their ceremonies. It's where they, everything. So I think the opportunity for engaging tribes, because water is so important to them, and for most of them it's rivers, is another type of audience, and that we have yet to really figure out how to engage. We don't have a clue. So what this event is intended to do is encourage. We'll have 250 river managers, public lands officials, BLM, Forest Service, Park Service, and Fish and Wildlife, to encourage folks to look at those that we did a lot of wrong to engage them, because they could be our biggest assets, our biggest cheerleaders, 10 or 15 years from now, because of how important water is to them. So that's why I wanted to mention that event, because it's going to be neat, and I think that's everything I had to say.
Thank you, Lisa.